This is a podcast or something like that. Hello, and we are live. We are completely live. I'm recording, I guess. Obviously, you're not listening to this live. But I am on time today, so there was a huge scandal last week, I know, where, we started 35 minutes late. Obviously, that was an enormous problem. We've been sort of trying to come back from that, so we started dead on 12 noon. Now, I am willing to admit I did delay the Discord event, so there's a sort of collaborative element to this podcast where anyone can kind of be on it technically, at least for now. Where I'm hoping to have more great conversations, and I'm sure I will, but it's an interesting kind of open source podcast where it's partially my talking to myself, and then it's going to be partially people joining the voice chat in the Discord server for the channel. So that should be interesting. Obviously, we had a great conversation with Elle in the first episode of this podcast. And then last week in the second episode, it was just a solo pod, just me chatting, 35 minutes late. So, yeah, I'm just contractually required to mention how late I was. That's sort of a weird clause in my contract. I know I've mentioned in each episode how the only podcast I listen to is the Not Even a Show podcast. But it is just relevant. So, yeah, I'll mention it again because that's one thing. It's not me copying or imitating. Is like the sort of bureaucratic voice that you get in the Not Even a Show that Chris does as a comedian, and Chris James, the guy who does it. And that sort of way of joking of like, oh, there's this bureaucracy around me that's limiting my behavior. I feel like I've done that for a really long time. And I know I was talking about Kafka, I think, on the previous episode. I think I mentioned some stuff about Kafka. And that's something he does too, is obviously, sort of satirize the bureaucratic way we tend to exist as humans, I guess is one way to put it. But so yeah, that is something that I do as well, making a joke as if there's a huge organization behind me. And I love explaining it because I think that heightens everything, does not take away from anything. So let us pick up where we left off last week. And I hereby announce that I have started watching Breaking Bad, to put it mildly. Obviously, it's very likely that almost no one, if not no one, will listen to this podcast episode, which I find really funny. Because there are a lot of, if I can believe my comments that I get on my YouTube videos, there are a lot of people who care passionately about when I will be watching the TV series Breaking Bad. And so it's funny to me that I'm announcing on a almost completely unheard of podcast that I am watching Breaking Bad. So obviously, if you happen to hear this, don't tell me anything about the show. I don't know that I'm going to go into much here. I have so many thoughts, and I've been writing down notes as I've watched the show, and I have so many notes. Yeah, I mean, just I don't want to talk about it much because I want to save, I want to keep thinking about everything while I watch the show. But I will say that I'm deep into the fourth season. So just in last week, since last week on the podcast, when I, live on air decided that I was going to watch Breaking Bad, I've watched a lot of episodes of Breaking Bad. Let's just say I haven't had a social life. Well, I've had a little of a social life. In the last week, I've almost every evening, except one or two maybe, I've just watched like hours of Breaking Bad. I obviously like it. It's a great show, but it's interesting how it's different and similar to Better Call Saul, and I'm really looking forward to talking about just like what I noticed and what I was wondering, and yeah, I'm gonna definitely do like a live stream on YouTube when I first finish the series, which should be in like a week or so, and and then I'll make a video. Because I figured, I was working it out on the previous podcast. I was like, why not just watch it? What am I waiting for? I don't have anything else pressing that I want to do creatively. But I am working on other stuff creatively, and I talked about some of that on the last one. Like short story work. I've been just trying to put more time and effort into like editing and like growing as a short story writer. I got to come up with some new ideas. I know I was sort of talking about this last time, but I mean, man, going through my old ones, I was like, some of these are really bad and like almost unsalvageable. It's going to be fun to try to salvage some of them, these stories, but I got to make up some new ones. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to try to actually do anything of quality there. Okay, so it's Sunday, a little bit after noon. And so yeah, I mean, the rest of my day, I probably will watch more Breaking Bad. There's also some football. I'm not a huge football fan, but it's kind of exciting when it's the playoffs. It's worth like putting on in the background. Maybe try to do some writing or something. But yeah, I did not get around to watching Pig, the movie I sort of assigned myself to watch. So that's another thing I'm taking after the NEAS podcast, because, saying I'll watch a movie and review it and then not doing it. But I'm going to roll that one over into this coming week. But yeah, I did watch like dozens of episodes of Breaking Bad. So yeah, it's quite the show. It's quite the show. It's quite the show. So what else? Should I go live in the Discord now? Let's see. Start event. Okay, now we are live in the Discord. And that's great. So yeah, so what else? So I'll just talk a little bit about what I've been up to. So this past week, and I'm sure I mentioned this on the previous podcast, I've been working more, so I've been seeing more clients and just doing more therapy, and that's been good. Definitely, I'm happy to be working with some more people and get some new, fresh energy in my work. Like, it's always very exciting to work with new clients and sort of take on new challenges and try my best to help. Everybody's very different, and doing therapy with different people is very, dependent on what that person is like, and yeah, how it goes. It can be, I don't know. There's just a lot of new sort of, like patterns you have to learn, and, everyone's just so different. So I just find it always very stimulating, and I get paid well enough, so I can support myself if I make sure to work enough. So for me, over the pandemic, I started working less, like basically wasn't saving money and was like losing a little money each month, like since around the start of the pandemic. So I'm running, pretty low on money, obviously, by this point. And that wasn't true of every month, but that was the general trend. So I'm trying to I have a new strategy, which is to actually make more money than I spend. And I thought that was sort of an interesting take on things. So I'm looking forward to giving that a shot. It's a little far-fetched at this point and just kind of abstract, but I figure if I try to generally make more than I spend, then the amount of money I have will increase. That's sort of my thinking and my logic around it. What else? Oh, I'll respond to a Discord message. Someone asked what made me get into Better Call Saul. when I didn't watch Breaking Bad. Like, out of all the shows, and I say I don't watch a lot of dramas, so why would I just like start watching Better Call Saul? Which is a very interesting question, because I feel like isn't it just like another show? I mean, I guess it's not. Would most people have not done that? I mean, I never thought it was going to be a problem, and it never was. I figured, okay, if I start watching and I like don't like that I can't understand what's going on, then I'll just stop watching, I guess. But the answer is because I love Bob Odenkirk. Bob Odenkirk is like one of my, favorite comedy actors and writers, and yeah, just Mr. Show, and I guess basically Mr. Show, because I was super into David Cross when I was like young, and so naturally you learn about Bob Odenkirk, and I mean, he's just so charming and funny and fantastic, and he's a great guy. It's cool that he's still a great guy, and like just making amazing work. I meant to buy his book, actually. He came out with a book. I think it's called like Comedy Drama or something, which is a pretty great name for a book. It's just incredibly clunky to say. But yeah, so that's what made me get into Better Call Saul. And, from the first opening, from just the opening scene, right? It's in like the courtroom, and he's getting those kids off for like ridiculous tomfoolery, and you can tell he's this like talented person arguing, and you can also tell in that first scene that he's like defending these kids from the consequences of their actions, and you can tell that it comes from a very real place for him of wanting to not have to face the consequences of his own actions. And so just like and like the aesthetics of that first scene, the way they like wheel in the television into the courtroom, and it's like slow and so was such a weird shot that most shows would like. That type of shot just sets a tone, like the slow shot of someone wheeling a old-fashioned television. Like, we all know what that's like if you're if you're like 25 or older, I guess. I don't know how old you have to be. But yeah, so I just immediately was like, oh, I'm, definitely going to watch this. And doesn't he do the Showtime thing? And just like the whole first episode too. Okay, so that's something I'm definitely going to talk about in the like, Breaking Bad stream that I do soon when I finish watching the show, is like the pilot of Breaking Bad, I feel like has so much more going on, but maybe not. I mean, there's a lot going on in the Better Call Saul pilot, but I don't know. I need to rewatch the pilot of Breaking Bad. I don't know if I can rewatch the whole show. I'm binge watching it so I can like, fully get it and not like miss things. Is I guess my logic, because I mean I guess I can watch the whole series twice, but I don't know if I want to do that. It's just like, yeah, there are certain episodes and certain scenes definitely in Breaking Bad that I will never rewatch and could barely look at the screen during. And trust me, I will talk about that more at length soon. I just don't want to go too much into this stuff because I'm still working out what I think, and yeah. But I have watched a lot of it, so more to come there. I should probably plan things to do on the podcast, but that would sort of defeat the purpose because it's just a verbal journal. It's just a verbal journal. And I am drinking coffee, so I'm getting raced up. I'm racing right now. My heart's fine. But my brain, I don't know. What part of you speeds up when you drink coffee? Exactly. How does caffeine work? Should we figure out how caffeine works? Google Scholar. So go to Google Scholar. Caffeine mechanism of action. Caffeine as a psychomotor stimulant. Caffeine and the central nervous system. No, we need something from the last few years. Even, when I look up research and it's like, oh, I want to find something like since 2019. Sometimes I'm like, really though? Are they really doing like groundbreaking research? I just don't know anything about this subject. All right, let's see. Possible beneficial actions of caffeine in SARS-CoV-2. Wow, that's hard to believe. Okay, yeah, okay, forget 2019. Just anytime. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Oh no, that's okay. Let's just go to this 1992 classic article. It seems it seems legit. It's in a journal called Brain Research Reviews. So it's a central nervous stimulant. Mobilization of intracellular calcium. So that's calcium within the cells. And inhibition of specific phosphodiesterase. Phosphodiesterase. So ester is like a type of thing. So phosphodiester. So two esters and then a phosphorus. Enzymes that regulate the intracellular levels of cyclic adenosine monophosphate. Adenosine monophosphate, is that and cyclic guanosine monophosphate, and consequently exhibit a central role in multiple cellular functions. Okay, phosphodiesterase. Okay, so it's just a sort of molecule, I guess. So caffeine causes mobilization of intracellular calcium, and inhibition of specific phosphodiesterases only occur at high non-physiological concentrations of caffeine. So yeah, non-physiological, so you have to be drinking it. The only likely mechanism, hold on one sec. The only likely mechanism of action of the methylxanthine is the antagonism at the level of adenosine receptors. Caffeine increases energy metabolism throughout the brain, but decreases at the same time cerebral blood flow. Wow. Inducing a relative brain hyperperfusion. Hypoperfusion. What is hypoperfusion? Hypoperfusion is a term that describes a reduced amount of blood flow. When ischemia develops due to low blood flow, we may describe this as hypoperfusion. Causes for hypoperfusion include low blood pressure, heart failure, or loss of blood volume. Whoa, I feel like I have this. Honestly, hypoperfusion, because I do have pretty low blood pressure often. And I do drink a lot of coffee. So that makes sense. Yeah, so I have hypoperfusion from caffeine. Okay, here we go. Caffeine activates noradrenaline neurons. So that's probably like adrenaline, similar to adrenaline, but like the sister of adrenaline named noradrenaline. I'm just kidding. I can look it up. Noradrenaline. Oh, norepinephrine, also known as noradrenaline. Oh, it's the same thing. Is both a neurotransmitter and a hormone. It plays an important role in your body's fight or flight response. Cool. Noradrenaline is the same as norepinephrine. Wow. Caffeine activates noradrenaline. I mean, I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me. That's just what it looked like from a quick Google search. Caffeine activates noradrenaline neurons and seems to affect the local release of dopamine. Wow. Many of the alerting effects of caffeine may be related to the action of the methylxanthine on serotonin neurons. Okay, what is methylxanthine? Methylxanthines are a purine-derived group of pharmacologic agents. What are purines again? Purines, my bad. I'm canceled. Purines are one of two chemical compounds that cells use to make the building blocks of DNA and RNA. One of two. Oh yeah, purines and examples of purines are adenine and guanine. Right. So purines are a category of two, and then there's two. What are the other ones? Purines are heterocyclic aromatic organic compounds. Purines. What's the opposite of purines? Oh, they have 2 rings, pyrimidine and imidazole, fused together. It's water soluble. Wow. Purines and pyrimidines make up the 2 groups of nitrogenous bases, including the 2 groups of nucleotide bases. The purine bases are guanine and adenine, which form the corresponding nucleosides deoxyribonucleosides, deoxyguanosine, and deoxyadenosine, with deoxyribose moiety. Sounds like a Jewish word. What is moiety? Moiety. Moiety is each of 2 parts into which a thing is or can be divided. Okay, we're too deep. Going back, methylxanthines are a purine-derived group of pharmacologic agents that have clinical use because they're bronchodilatory and stimulatory effects. Okay. Oh, including caffeine. Yeah. Okay, let's go back. So many of the alerting effects of caffeine may be related to the action of the methylxanthine on serotonin neurons. It says serotonin neurons. I don't know why I thought it was serotonin. What is serotonin? Let me look that up. Is that like plural? What the fuck? No, it's just a typo. Wait, this article has a typo. They put an E on the end of serotonin. I'm not even joking. Okay. Look this up. Caffeine in the central nervous system, 1992. What the fuck? It's in the abstract. Okay, whatever. The methylxanthine induces dose response increases in locomotor activity in animals. So the methylxanthine, causes us to, have different like locomotor, movement, I guess, activity. Its psychostimulant action on man, who's man? Is, however, often subtle and not very easy to detect. The effects of caffeine on learning, memory, performance, and coordination are rather related to the methylxanthine action on arousal, vigilance, and fatigue. Caffeine exerts obvious effects on anxiety and sleep, which vary according to individual sensitivity to the methylxanthine. Wow. I should stop drinking so much coffee. However, children in general do not appear more sensitive to methylxanthine effects than adults. The central nervous system does not seem to develop a great tolerance to the effects of caffeine, although dependence and withdrawal symptoms are reported. Okay. So anyways, I'm drinking some coffee. It's interesting to try to understand what goes on in our brains because it really is so difficult, but yet so important. I mean, we have such amazing privilege by living in a time where, all kinds of different advancements have allowed us real, genuine knowledge of how the brain functions. I mean, I'm always skeptical, like on the level of, okay, we've cracked open the black box for sure to a certain extent, but, how do we... I don't know, like, aren't there points where we're just naming certain things but not necessarily understanding it? No, probably not. Probably that's an ignorant thing to say because I feel like if you do, it's just hard to understand all the different things you need to. You reach obstacles and stuff, but probably there are people who grasp, chemistry, physics, biology, math, and like, at a certain point, you have to get everything to understand, like, okay, well, what is it exactly that makes, that electron, do that, like, go form that bond or something? And why does that cause whatever ripple effects it does that leads to this sort of formation or something? I mean, it's so cool how they study forget any point I'm trying to make about like, does our civilization understand the brain? Like, the word thing is an interesting point in and of itself. Like, I love just breaking down all these big words when you're reading science articles. Like, I mean, like lesions, like they use lesions in the brain. Like when people have lesions in the brain, then, scientists can study, well, what does their brain do differently when they don't have that part of the brain, where the lesion is. And what a lesion is just like a hole. I mean, it's just like nothing, right? I mean, I think a lesion is just when there's not a thing there. Lesion definition: a region in an organ or tissue which has suffered damage through injury or disease, such as a wound, ulcer, abscess, or tumor. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, obviously I don't know what I'm talking about in any like meaningful way, but my point is just like, when you can get really turned away from scientific articles, but you can really translate a lot of the things into something meaningful. Like, I don't have to know exactly like what a purine is, to just like get the gist of what we were just reading and like understand, okay, there are these chemicals in caffeine called methylxanthines, and they seem to have like these various effects. If I really wanted to understand the background to that, I would have to spend hours, understanding, more than hours, to be fair, weeks probably, studying and understanding concepts, and I just have other things to do, but I have been putting more time into reading articles about the brain. I can pull some of these up. Oh, I should say now before I forget, if you're listening to this, we have a mailbox, a mailbag, where you can send questions or comments into the podcast. Send them to verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. That's verbaljournalpodcast, all one word, at gmail.com. So email in to verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know you're listening, and we will respond to what you say, as long as it's, worth responding to. But yeah, I've been definitely keeping track of some articles that I want to go back to and read. There's a lot to do there. And yeah, specifically just trying to learn more about the brain and how anxiety works in the brain and stuff like that. Or, there's a lot to learn. Wait, what? The site can't be reached? Oh no, all my links are Sci-Hub, and now Sci-Hub went down? Fuck. Okay, it's not all my links. It's just a bunch of them. Oh, that's so dumb. That was so short-sighted of me. There's got to be a way to get those. Is that the DOI? Oh, that is the DOI, potentially. Hold on. Is the DOI in the link? Yes, it is. Yes. Cool. I can actually recover all of them, because I keep a document of like articles I want to read. But unfortunately, I thought I was making it more convenient for myself by, saving the link to the Sci-Hub version, forgetting that Sci-Hub could just go down. So that's not a permanent link, but wow, that's great. I can recover all the articles. Very good. So here I found an article, the relationship between anxiety levels and outcome of cocaine abuse treatment. So do people with more anxiety have better or worse outcomes when they try to stop doing cocaine? How does anxiety in the brain affect your ability to stop doing cocaine? I thought that was a really good question, and I haven't looked at this article yet. But I might pull it up now. Okay, let's see. And then, but you do want to get the full article, so you do have to pull it over to Sci-Hub. You just can't go to that one because that's not live anymore, so different Sci-Hub. Okay. There we go. Here we go. Good. There's like 6 different authors on this paper. Brown University. That's pretty legit. It's from 2000, the year 2000. I like to sometimes not read the abstract, because it sort of spoils it. It gives away the ending and the beginning. I especially like the beginnings of articles. When you find articles that like are about something you're sort of interested in, you might even just benefit from reading just the beginning, like just the just like the intro, not the abstract, but just like the first, section, because you'll get, it's the literary review is what it often is. So you get caught up with like, like that's so hard to do. I mean, it's hard to do a study in itself, but it's hard to just do a literary review. Okay, anyways, so let's check this out. While several recent studies have highlighted the positive association between anxiety disorders and drug use and dependence in general, meaning, more anxiety equals more drug use and dependence, few studies have elucidated the relationship between anxiety and cocaine in particular. One reason for this lack of attention may be that cocaine, which has both anxiolytic and anxiogenic properties, that means it helps calm down anxiety and it causes anxiety. So cocaine, which has both anxiolytic and anxiogenic properties, is less likely to be used or abused by individuals predisposed to high levels of anxiety or anxiety disorders. Oh, that's interesting. So they're saying people don't study this as much because, the fact that cocaine both causes and resolves anxiety means like people are not going to go to it to resolve anxiety because it also causes anxiety, maybe more so than other drugs. But I would argue that people go to weed for the same reason, but that's also can cause anxiety. So I feel like, unless you're going to like full on downers, like a lot of drugs are going to cause anxiety. And I don't even know. Downers probably cause some other stuff not great. Another possibility is that cocaine, given its stimulant effects, appeals more to sensation seekers versus individuals with psychiatric problems. Okay, I don't know about that. Those don't seem like separate categories. As a whole, studies of the prevalence of anxiety disorders among cocaine users have had discrepant findings. I've never seen the word discrepant. It's always discrepancy. I've never known that discrepant can be an adjective. Oh, so generalized anxiety disorder among drug abusers, and cocaine is the most common drug of abuse in this report they're referring to, range from 2 to 4%, which is higher than the slightly higher than the 1 year prevalence rates for the general population, which is 3% of drug abuse. I'm sorry, 3% of generalized anxiety disorder. So 3% of the population about in a given year is going to experience generalized anxiety disorder. Anxiety that would qualify for that diagnosis. And in this report, they're citing of 10,000 people, the higher end of the range of the percent of people with generalized anxiety disorder did go above that average. So I don't know. That's not a big difference. But okay, I guess it's some difference. Moreover, the likelihood of individuals meeting diagnostic criteria for generalized anxiety disorder increased with the number of drugs abused. Wow, that's very interesting. So they cite a bunch of studies that find very different, levels of results. What do they say? One possible explanation for the above discrepancies in the prevalence rates of anxiety disorders among cocaine abusers may be attributable to taxonomic guidelines. Due to the hierarchical nature of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, if an individual reports symptoms consistent with generalized anxiety disorder that occur during the course of a mood disorder, the principal and all-inclusive diagnosis conferred is the mood disorder. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a weird feature of just how we diagnose things. So there would be like one overarching diagnosis, I guess. I mean, I can give people multiple diagnoses. I don't do it often, but people can obviously have multiple diagnoses. I don't know why you would need to say one subsumes another. That seems weird. Wow, 20 to 51% of cocaine abusers have been found to have mood disorders, which can take into account, depression, major depressive disorder, or, bipolar disorder, bipolar 1 or 2. Wow, that's so much more. And I guess that's interesting because, like, I guess if you're looking to the effects of cocaine in particular, you're more likely to have unstable moods rather than sort of like just anxiety of various kinds or anxious thought patterns. Because, like, if you're anxious, you would not be like, yeah, you know what? I need cocaine. And I say that as an anxious person. I have tried cocaine before. I tried it in college, like, several times. I personally never even, like, I didn't have a noticeably good experience. I didn't really have much of an experience. And I thought it was, like, supposed to be good cocaine. So I think my brain is just not wired to want to do cocaine. I think because I've taken like ADHD medications. And so I think that had like made my brain like, oh yeah, I already know similar sort of, I know it's completely different, but that's my rationalization. Or it was just really bad cocaine is an entirely fair possibility. I was in college. Like I wasn't like Hector Salamanca or something like access. I assume he has access to pretty good cocaine. I don't know. Maybe I'll find out in Breaking Bad. Anyways, I wanted to read something more about neurological stuff. But this is interesting. Hold on, let me finish this paragraph. Oh, okay. And mood disorders are about 14 to 18% among people with substance disorders, like not cocaine in particular. So much lower. Anxiety, frequently overlaps with depressive symptoms. So, current diagnostic taxonomy can sort of blur the lines, make it hard to perceive, I guess, which is the overarching or like how different, if you have to choose one diagnosis as like the dominant one, that sort of is inherently flawed, I feel like. But things might not always go that way. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to see stuff more about the brain. So this is interesting, of course. And I think we all learned some stuff, but not exactly what I was looking for. Oh, here we go. Distributed circuits underlying anxiety. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, this is very good, and there's a lot to learn here. But I think this is the one I was already reading. Yeah. Interplay between the medial prefrontal cortex, the basolateral amygdala, and the ventral. Oh, what's up, chubby champions? How's it going?
Good.
Nice. I see you got the Walter White picture.
Yeah, yep.
You were asking in the Discord why I watched Better Call Saul, right?
Yes.
Nice. I actually answered that earlier on the pod here because we had so little to talk about. But I'll tell you again, it's because I'm a huge fan of Bob Odenkirk.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I just knew I would love anything he was in, basically. But I did start watching Breaking Bad, actually. So I'm gonna finish season 4 and then get to season 5 soon, and I'm gonna talk all about it.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. How are things going for you?
Oh, good. I'm actually I'm currently living in the Philippines, so it's a bit of a time difference and things, but yeah, no, things are going good. I appreciate your videos. I'm a huge fan.
Thanks.
I watch the series constantly. It's on in the background. I mean,
Wow.
even now it's it's going on. So I listen to a lot of videos, and you put a lot of thought into it. It's really good.
Wow. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Very kind. I do put a lot of effort, and it's nice to know that people appreciate it. And I love watching other people's video essays. So it's very cool to know that some people really, really dig watching mine. Hold on.
Oh yeah, it's but yeah, you definitely put a lot of thought into it, and it's yeah, it's absolutely love it. It's
Thank
so that,
you.
that's why I joined on Patreon. I was
Thank
going to
you.
join on YouTube, but it wouldn't let me. It said that it wouldn't allow it for my territory. I'm not sure what that
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I did not.
meant, but so.
Yeah, I didn't know it did that. Has it ever done that for you before?
What was that?
Has it ever like prevented you from joining another channel?
I've never joined a channel on YouTube
Oh,
before,
yeah.
but it's some of the stuff on Google Pay, like I have Skype, I have Drive. When I pay that, it's in American dollars, but my YouTube account, I got the premium. It's 159 pesos, which is just a couple dollars. But yeah, I can. But when I went to join it, it just said this isn't available in your territory. So, I mean, I'm subscribed to YouTube. I can watch any videos, but yeah, I'm not sure what that. I can send you a screenshot of what it showed exactly.
No,
The
that's all
words, but I
good.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know some things are restricted to certain countries and things like that, but
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, I did not realize that it would. I guess there's just random rules like that I do not understand. And yeah. I'm trying to figure out an audio thing here. 1 second. Monitor this and then
I'm not sure why. I'm having a hard time hearing you for some reason. I got my phone turned up, but I don't know if it's
okay. No, that could be.
I don't do a lot of stuff on Discord. But.
Yeah, no. Thank you for telling me. 1 second. Let me fix that on Discord. I think that is a different setting on Discord. So 1 second. Let me figure that out. There's it's a challenge sometimes, these technical things. Okay, let's see. Voice and video automatically determine input sensitivity. Okay, let's try this. How about now? Can you hear me better now?
It's still the same. Maybe
Okay,
it's
still
on
the
my
same.
end.
How about now? Is this better? At all, maybe, or no? Not at all.
It's still the same.
Still the same. Okay, what about, is this good or no? Is this bad?
I can.
Maybe this is bad.
Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's, I don't know, the automatically determine input sensitivity thing. I don't know whether I'm supposed to do that, but that's often the thing. Mic test.
Well, I switched it to phone. So it's kind of like I'm on a phone call. It was a speaker, but I don't know that.
No, that's something in Discord. But you're telling me, so this doesn't sound. If the, yeah, because I know I'm coming through on
that sounds a little better.
Oh, it does sound a little better. Interesting. Okay, well, I can also turn my input up here, and maybe that'll make it. Oh, you know what it is? Oh my God, interesting. Yeah, you're actually getting the bad. You were not getting my good mic. Wow. So now this should be better. Is this better?
Hang on, let me.
Yeah, this should be better. Because now I think Discord is getting.
Hang on, let me try something.
My good
here.
mic too.
Whoops.
And I wish I could figure out how to.
Okay.
How about now?
Yeah, that's much better.
Yep. You were not getting my good mic because I had a Discord confusion here. Okay, cool. Yeah, the only other thing is I'll figure out the headphones for next time. And so yeah, if anyone listening to this in the future doesn't like the audio, well, just wait until next time because it'll be better. And that's a promise. So we have a few more minutes. This is a weekly thing that I'm starting up where I'm doing a little podcast and just hanging out and talking about whatever. Do you have anything on your mind that you'd want to talk about today before we finish up?
Um, no, just I do hope that you watch Breaking Bad sometime, and and that was basically, and you'd mentioned that, so that was
No, I
because I
have.
would love to
I
hear.
started. I started last week.
Oh wow,
Yeah. So it's on. I am deep into it already. I have like a bunch more to go. So I want to sort of hold off on saying too much, but I'm loving it. Yeah, it's exciting to finally be watching it.
well, and something from your end that's going to be unique is you already seen Better Call Saul, so when you get to or you may have got there, the Better Call Saul episode, and when you see Saul Goodman in there, like you already know, the Slippin' Jimmy, his backstory, which is something that if you watch Breaking Bad at first, you don't, you're just introduced to him, you don't know. So that'll give you a different perspective. Like, it'll,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Totally. That's something
uh,
I'll have to talk about a lot cuz that was such a cool aspect of it. I mean, I was waiting so long. I think it's not until like the second season, like the 8th episode or something that he came in, and I was like,
mhm.
when is he going to get in here? And I mean, he's unbelievably good, and you can really watch it and be like, "Oh, I see why they gave him an entire spin-off series." Like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's so funny. It's ridiculous. Just his self-absorbed like attitude and like the way he's just like, "Better call Saul." Yeah, from the commercial. I get that all the time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
He's so good.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you're watching it. I mean, I hope you don't get sick or anything, but I think you mentioned like last January you got sick
Oh.
or something, so you were able to watch a lot more and spend time.
Oh,
So
thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I don't,
I'm just
I
binge.
don't.
Yeah, I'm just binge watching it. I probably will get sick, but that's unrelated. That's just with it being winter and so much going around.
Yeah, well, like I said, I hope you don't get sick, but I hope that you can, like, because the thing about you know Breaking Bad that's different is it's a lot more violence. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more in the characters, and it just, I mean, but to me, when someone asked me what my favorite was, and my favorite's Breaking Bad, and the only reason I say Breaking Bad is because you got Bob Odenkirk in there. So in Better Call Saul, you don't have Walt and Jesse except for that one cameo. So that's why. But
Mm.
they're both great, and I will do a good job, breaking it down.
No, that's really interesting. Yeah, I can see your perspective on that. I guess to me, like all I'll sort of say for now, I guess, is like I don't know that I like Walt as much as I like, um, you know, Jimmy McGill, and I don't just mean like as a person. I just mean like as a character I want to watch on screen. Like he's a very captivating character, and like Walt is like a extremely amazing, special, like one of a kind character. But I don't really like watching him. I it's like painful to watch him sometimes. Like I don't. It's like really painful, and I think it's supposed to be. So I'm not criticized. This is not a bad thing, but yeah, I don't know if this is how other people feel watching it, or if other people find it a little bit easier to tolerate. Just like watching him behave the way he does, I guess is the vague way I would put it for now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, it'll be, you break it down and look into it. I know it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's you did a really good job on those videos, and
Thank you. Yeah,
Oh, yo,
thank you.
what's up, by the way?
Oh wait,
Um,
who dat? Oh
it's
yo,
Ariman.
Aryaman in the chat. Thank you for saying hi. I didn't even realize you were here. How are you doing?
My mic was. I'm chilling. How are
Nice.
y'all?
Good. We were just talking about Breaking Bad because I started watching it.
Oh, sick. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Um, great song, by the way. Really cool new song.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Did you? It is new, right? You just dropped it.
Yeah, yeah. I just dropped it. I haven't really started on like the promo and stuff yet cuz I mean, it's just been a lot going on the past few days, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to start soon. Hopefully I can like get some traction, you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask actually. Like, yeah, how that works, or if you like send it around to friends or stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, send it out around to friends and just like I'm trying to get like social media like promo stuff going too.
Oh, cool.
But
Yeah, you got to
yeah.
do that. Are you on TikTok?
No, I need to be though.
Yeah, you probably do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I tried making a TikTok like a year or two ago and posted a few things, and I was like, I can't do this. I don't know. For some reason, I just
Yeah.
couldn't bring myself to do. Not that there's anything worse compared to. It's not like it's worse than YouTube or anything, but it's just so addictive and like intense. I don't know. But
Yeah, I will like download TikTok for like a few days and then anytime I spend more than like 40 minutes at a time on it, I just delete it.
yeah, I wonder what the most like deleted and re-downloaded app is.
That's actually really funny.
I wonder, because I talk about this stuff with clients all the time. People are like, I need to stop using Instagram, or, often it's Instagram, honestly, is the one that people seem to be like hooked on, at least that they
Mhm.
talk about with me. But, because I feel like Instagram is one that like provides such little value that like you realize how annoyed you are to be hooked on it. Yeah, because it's like they're just
Yeah.
pictures. Like,
Yeah, and you're being forced to look at just like people you know plus like celebrities
yeah,
plus like influencers, you know. It's just like
yeah,
and like memes, I guess. Like it's just like yeah,
yeah.
I the selection of stuff, like all of it is kind of just like you can just kind of not have it.
Yeah.
Whereas like with TikTok and YouTube, you're kind of getting fed stuff that's like at least somewhat what you're interested in. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And YouTube, it feels like you have a lot more choice about what you're watching than TikTok. That's the one thing I will say seems better.
Yeah, certainly.
But, well, I don't know. I think we might stop now or soon. Anything you feel like talking about before we do? I'm not in a rush to go. I just, yeah, I don't have anything else on my mind.
Uh, I mean
What's,
nothing in particular.
yeah, what's new? You're studying music, right? Or did I make that up?
No, yeah, I am.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, just in school,
Nice.
like working on a short film score,
Wow.
uh, like obviously like just release that music. Hopefully, I'm
Yeah.
working on an album too. So like
Nice.
hopefully that's like materializes sometime soon. Yeah, just the usual stuff.
So, what do you think of the music in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad? Obviously, it's the same artist. What do you think of it from your perspective as a musician?
Oh, it's like some of the best. Like I would venture to even say it's underrated because
Yeah.
it's like just the actual compositions themselves are like really good and
Yeah.
like the way that like something that I really liked even in Better Call Saul was like the music in like season 6 like episodes like I can't remember the episode name. I think Point and Shoot maybe.
Hmm.
Like that episode he kind of like calls back to like Breaking Bad music
Oh, really? Yeah.
cuz like the music is way more like synth heavy and like drum and bass and like
Hmm.
really tense and scary.
Yeah.
Whereas like most of Better Call Saul's music obviously isn't like that. And like it's like really detailed. And then like when you
Yeah.
get to like the black and white episodes, it's like really cool, like orchestral, like silly music and nippy and like,
Hmm.
you know. And they're
Yeah.
also really good at choosing when to compose music and when to like bring in like pre-existing songs.
Yes, yes, and they have great song selection too. I agree with you that it is even underrated, even if it's won like awards, which I don't even know it probably has, or hopefully it has.
I don't
Um,
even think it has,
wow,
weirdly enough.
wow, fair enough. Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, and I do know what you mean about, now that I'm watching Breaking Bad, like the way they blended it towards the end of the show does seem really very cool, like stylistically with like, I don't know, just their type of shots, I feel like, and the music as well. So much
Mhm.
just like, I don't know, that artist, whoever did Dave Porter, can just like do so many different things clearly, because it's wild how many different, and in Breaking Bad I noticed, I don't know if they use more modern songs than in Better Call Saul, but I noticed it more. Like they use songs by, I don't know if you know TV on the Radio,
Mhm.
yeah, and Fever Ray, and like Fever,
Yeah.
yeah, and I love fucking like both those songs. I love, and when they came on, I'm like, are you kidding me? I will say it's a little weird to hear a song that came out after the scene is set.
Interesting.
Like
Yeah, that is strange.
I don't. That just strikes me as a little strange. I feel like people. There's probably a lot of discourse about this that I'm not informed about, but it's like, yeah, it is a little strange. Like modern synth, like indie electronica, and like, and then the scene is set. Wait, when is it set? Like the beginning of Breaking Bad, or like the middle of Breaking Bad, or when is that
I
set?
think 2008.
2008. Okay. Yeah. No. No. That's, yeah. That's. I think I'm right. That's. I guess they don't care about that type of thing, which is fair. But
Yeah. I mean, I think that the music they pick is like really good at just like I think every song like they pick is just amazing for like setting the tone of the scene. Like and like the especially since there's so many montages in both shows too. It's like
yeah.
they do a it's really hard to pick like a good montage song because it's like you have to edit the entire scene to that song
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like they always pick the perfect one for every single montage.
Yeah, and they really let the songs play out. Like they play a lot of them. I notice in some of these scenes. What do you think, Chubby Champions? What do you think of the music? And yeah,
Yeah, I no, I think it's good, and I'm not sure how to pronounce the guy that's on there right now, the ARYAMNJ7, but I listened to that song and that was pretty good. That was yeah, that was I like that. But
I
the
appreciate
one
that.
song, the one song they played, it was in season 6. I don't remember what episode, but it started out like they're riding a bicycle. That one couple that he's living
yes,
with,
yes,
and it's like that. I researched the song. It's like from the '60s, and but it was like even a song like that. It's yeah, it's like they always find like that was the perfect song for that montage or that setting.
yeah. What's that song? Is that song like about like the perfect day or something like that, or it's like, or right? It's like something about, I don't know. All their songs are about like how everything's amazing and perfect. Like they have those like old fashioned songs about how everything's like wonderful and nice. They do it in Breaking Bad a lot too. You know, those like
Hmm.
swingy, dreamy,
Mhm.
slow songs, and it's like right after someone just got like brutally murdered or something.
Yeah. No, I think my favorite montage in season 6 is actually the opening montage with Days of Wine and Roses,
Oh
like
my
the
god.
instrumental version.
Yeah.
It's so good because that montage is like incredibly slow
Mm-hmm.
and like there's that long take of them like going through the house and it's like choreographed and all that. Like it's
Yeah.
just amazing.
I can't, like, so much work goes into something like that. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's really, they really go to the next level, and yeah, I'm happy to be spending so much time thinking about it. I have so many notes about Breaking Bad already. It's wild. It's gonna be a lot.
What have you thought so far?
Well, I
Like
mean,
in general?
I love it. It's very different, but I do love it. I was saying earlier, I think it's hard for me to watch Walter. In most of the show, I basically hate him, for lack of a better word. Um, and I guess that's what I'm supposed to feel, or
Yeah, I mean, I think that like when it came out, like a lot of people were like really sympathetic to Walt because they didn't like I guess, I mean, you obviously have some idea of where it's going, you
Right.
know, like having watched Better Call Saul. But like, yeah, I guess like the whole show for the viewer is just a test of like when are you gonna like hop off this train that this guy's on, and be like, okay, this guy's just like just the worst.
But like in the very first episode, like the way he gets Jesse on board is through force. He does not even convince Jesse. He says, "I will turn you in or you do this with me." And so it's like
Yeah.
I hate him from the beginning. And I liked Jesse for a very long time, but even that is very hard now towards the end of season 4. It's like I I guess I like him more, but he's just been such a dick too. It's like Jesus Christ. Like they're both fascinating characters, but I haven't watched a show that like tries to make you hate the character as much as Better Call Saul does. I mean Breaking Bad does, and it's fascinating because they show you how bad of a person Walter is, and they show you how he cannot grasp how bad of a person he is. Like I was saying earlier, like there's even that whole thing of like Jesse being like, I realize that I'm the bad guy. And then Walter says in a separate scene later, I can't be the bad guy. And so the whole show is apparently about him not willing to accept that he's the bad guy. You know what I mean? It's just an interesting premise for a show.
Mm-hmm.
Am I off base, or what do you think? So you probably understand it a lot, better.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're like, I think you're right. Like, I think you could totally read it. Like, he just does not want to, like, he's just not able to like grasp with anything that he's done throughout the entire show for most of the show.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, I think he looks at it like since he's doing it for his family, that it's okay. Like the means justify the end. It's because that's what he got into it for and to begin with, but it just. But there's a huge change, and I mean, if you're at season 4, I mean, you've already seen the changes from, the beginning, but yeah, he just.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's like,
Wait, are you still there?
But I'm really glad you're watching it because there's going to be some good content coming out. That's.
Yeah, it's cool to hear what you all think because I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't know. Are my reactions like how much of my reactions are coming from like I'm looking at this as like someone planning to make a YouTube video about it? I don't know. I'm like trying to get out of that mindset as well, and understand just like, how do other people feel when they're watching this? But yeah, exactly. He thinks like the end justifies the means with the whole like providing for his family, and that's obviously like a good, valid motivation. But it's like it raises so many ethical questions, just like Better Call Saul. Like, when is it okay to lie to people? Because I'm sure there are many people who watch who are like, oh, it's no big deal that he was lying to his family. I'm sure I'll end up getting a lot of comments like that. Right? Or no? Do people think that? I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's kind of it's like the Breaking Bad in a way. It feels like a litmus test for the viewers based on how the reactions were like when it came out. Cause like the creators have talked about how surprised they were that people like still sympathize with Walt like so late into the show.
Wow.
Like they were like, how are people still like on board with like they were like we feel like there's nothing we can do to like make them hate this guy.
Whoa, really?
Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I can at some point I'll send you the interview where they like talk about that.
I was gonna say definitely feel free if you want to. Yeah, because I gotta dip into some of that secondary material stuff for sure. But that's wild. Yeah, no, I mean, I wrote it down in my notes like several times from like probably starting from at least the first season. Like, hey, I wouldn't mind if Walt died actually in this scene. Like,
yeah,
I wrote that multiple times. It's like I wouldn't think that about a real person, to be clear. But like in the show I'm watching, I'm like, if he just dropped dead, like, yeah, I would not mind that at all.
Yeah, and there was even like a whole thing about like Are you aware of like the hate that like Anna Gunn, who the actress that's the actress who played Skylar, like
So tell me about it, but also I didn't know it was about. I didn't know it was towards the actor. I thought it was just about
yeah,
the character.
she wrote like a whole article about it on like some like magazine or like publication about like how like just for years and years she was just getting like hated on for like the character she played, like, and like it was just it was basically just misogyny, and like, you know, like the viewers like internalized misogyny to a certain extent, because it's like it's one thing to hate a character, but it's another thing to like go out of your way to like make that known to the actress who plays the character, who's doing an amazing job of playing the character. And
100%. Yeah.
like, you know, but also like from my point of view, I'm always like, yeah, sure, maybe in like seasons 1 and 2, like Skylar can come off like a bit annoying, which is honestly my biggest issue with the writing in the show. Like, is sometimes they don't make her
Hmm.
sympathetic enough. um but like, you know, at a certain, like, she's a victim, and like I don't like hate her, you know, like
Yeah.
she was just put in this terrible spot, and like she makes bad decisions,
Yeah.
but like I don't know, it's like I don't see how you could hate her any more than like you hate Walt, you know.
No, definitely not. And that's really funny. So I not funny. That's really interesting because I knew that like there was all this like, you know, with Breaking Bad having a largely male fan base and just like the world being what it is. And I've seen a few things online like about people being ridiculous about Skylar and just like not understanding the position she was in and stuff like that. I guess I didn't even think to realize that obviously people are unhinged enough that that would extend to actually harassing the person playing the character, which is just really next level stupid and horrible. But watching Breaking Bad, and this is something I'll definitely talk about when I do a stream or video about it. Like I was watching it with that in mind a little bit of like, oh, like okay, so I'm expecting Skylar to like behave irrationally, and like I'm curious to see like how bad it is and like how people, you know, and then to like understand how people blew it out of proportion and stuff like that. But I actually disagree with what you were saying, Ariaman, in the sense that for the first few seasons, I thought she did arguably nothing even slightly irrational. And it's only when she starts going along with Walt, and she has a fair motivation with, you know, Hank being injured and she's giving the money to Marie and stuff like that. But still, she starts taking the money, and then that's when, in my opinion, and again, I'm not blaming her exactly for everything, but in my opinion, that's when she becomes really insufferable, and like, and I have such a hard time with her because she's letting Walt back into her life. But it's really wild that anyone could watch her like be upset, and she handled herself so well in the first few seasons. Given the circumstances, I would have been so much more irrational. I would have been so much more like hysterical. She was just like in a very reasonable way, just like wanting to know what was going on. So yeah, it's wild that people can, yeah, like you said, it's a litmus test for where people are at psychologically, I guess.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, so we'll have to look more into that. Maybe by next week, I'll actually be done with Breaking Bad, depending on how much free time I have and how poorly I spend my time doing other things. But this was fun. I'm so glad you both joined. Thank you so much for joining the Verbal Journal podcast episode 3.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Come back anytime. We're going to be experimenting with this and see how it works, but I'm going to try to keep it up. And yeah, I post this to the Patreon and for YouTube members if you want to check it out after or for whatever reason, or if there's anything you want me to cut out, like when you said like, you know, all the slurs or something like that, you can message me after and I'll cut that out. But just kidding. Okay, but anyways, Have a good one, y'all. And yeah, we'll call it a day. Hope you both have a good rest of your day or night, I guess. And yeah.
You too. Have a good day.
All right.
All right. Catch you later.
All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye. All right. So I ended the event, and now to end the podcast. Yeah, that was fun. So yeah, again, write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com if you have any things to, if you want to like send in a question or something. But yeah, that was really fun. Wow, I'm so glad we had some company. And also, yeah, I was messing around with the audio because I didn't have headphones plugged in today. So when I realized that their audio of the other people I was talking with was coming through on my mic too because I didn't have headphones on, I tried to experiment with lowering my mic's pickup volume whenever I wasn't talking. That might have ended up sounding kind of bad. If it did, I apologize for that. So I'm going to just wear headphones next time, or have them on hand. And yeah, we're learning. It's a verbal journal learning. Okay. Bye. This is a podcast or something.